Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what part of the world you're in. Welcome to the Venture Outfitter. I am Kevin Koym from Tech Ranch, founder of Tech Ranch, and part of what we're here today to do is to talk about just like have an open community conversation. One of my favorite kind of conversations is where we don't have anything scripted. We just kind of find out what's happening across the community around the world and stuff like that. So let's get the slides going, just so I sometimes forget to put those up. But welcome to the Venture Outfitter. So part of the idea of what we do to keep on pushing this idea about the Venture Outfitter, Tech Ranch has a community around it of entrepreneurs around the world. We're going to hear from some of them today. But we have a program called the Venture Outfitter that we're in the process of updating. To get into our community is free, but there's some areas that require some management and control and stuff like that, like when we have special vendor offers and things like that. If you're interested in being a part of that, we're going to be launching a package deal in the next week that I want to tell you about, but I want to make sure that you know about. That being said, if you're in some part of the world that you don't have access to a lot of resources and stuff like that, you're always welcome to be part of the community. All we ask is you play by the rules and that you're an entrepreneur that's driving some kind of positive outcome in the world. We'll talk more about that. Thank you to DuoWorks for being one of our long-term sponsors. Linda Blackman runs the co-working place called DuoWorks. It's in the middle of Austin. If you look at the MTA, the overall area around Austin, this is where 183, one of the big roads, intersects with 360, intersects with Mopac, and we're right in the middle of that. Those three intersections, three of the four major roads in Austin intersect right here. So if you're looking for a membership, if you're looking for a mailbox, take advantage of what they're doing. In fact, this next Tuesday, I forgot to put this on the calendar. One of our members is moving from Texas back to his home of Bangladesh. If you're in the Austin area on Tuesday, and especially if you're a long-term Tech Ranch member, or if you used to participate in our old co-working space, come for a lunch to say goodbye to Mansoor. He's moving back to Bangladesh. That'll be at 12 o'clock noon. I'll ask Jello to post that out onto our Tech Ranch calendar as well. And we'll have some food and be saying goodbye to Mansoor. Now, that being said, Mansoor is going to be on the other side of the world, and we'll be bringing a group of Bangladeshi entrepreneurs into the fold. I'm kind of excited about that. We've had Bangladeshis involved in the past, but it'll be great to have one of our own that spent time in Texas and in Bangladesh, bridging that venture bridge. So if you're not in the community site, once again, you can use this URL, take a picture of this QR code, or actually click on the QR code and go apply for membership. You can also get this at techranch.com/connect. But the idea here is we'd like to invite you into the community. We launched a new community site a few months, actually about a month and a half ago is really where we got serious about it. And we are stopping our use of Slack and stopping our use of Mighty Networks. Those two tools haven't been anywhere near as solid as the Circle implementation we did. So if you're interested, please do join. Like I mentioned earlier, to be in the community site where it's really about the community, it doesn't cost us anything to run that. Actually, it costs some, but we're doing that. We're attending that community for free because we want you involved. And then there are some areas that for special deals from vendors and things like that, as well as our Venture Essential program, that there's going to be a small charge. The small charge, what's that going to be? $49 a month. $49 a month. And we will have within the week, we'll launch a small package of, like, if you pay for, a full year together, we'll give you a break on all that sort of stuff. For anyone that signs up this week, and if you sign up on the $49 a month thing, I tell you what, I'll throw in a 20-minute call with myself to help you launch your venture. I'd like to really start pushing a lot more people into the Venture Outfitter, because we are going to do a weekly call-in time. You're going to be able to actually have access to myself and other experts. We did this effectively last year with a group from Latin America and also from the Czech Republic. I'm looking forward to doing more of this as well. All right, take advantage of that. So I've been speaking around the world. We're going to hear from one of our entrepreneurs that was in my speech for digital innovation in healthcare that was at Kosminski University. After we get the community portion, the Ask Me Anything session going, we're going to have him speak and just give his pitch. But also I spoke with a group called the Co-Authors Group that's based out of Finland on yesterday. So the speech in Poland was on, actually the place to the left, I guess we didn't put Kosminski University is in Poland and Warsaw. We'll be doing more activities with Poland. In fact, I will be traveling to that area of the world. I'll be traveling for a speech in Lithuania on March 24th, and I'll stay in that region between the Baltics and Poland, possibly hopping into the Nordics before I come back. But they're real excited to interact with that group of entrepreneurs, that group of scientists. And then on yesterday, it was a really different framework. It was like a salon. I spoke with a co-authors group, which is a salon that's based out of Finland that has entrepreneurs, scientists, philosophers, big group of people from Finland, Portugal, Brazil, Angola. There was a number of countries represented. It's a different format than I've never experienced before. I really like that. We're going to have the leader of that group, a gentleman by the name of Marco, come present. He was, I tried to talk him into presenting today, but he'll be coming soon. He just wasn't able to join us today, but it's interesting to see how, from an academic philosophical standpoint, they are looking at attacking a lot of the same issues that we as entrepreneurs are attacking. And so I think a little bit of crossover will be a good thing. Coming soon, we're going to be talking about leveraging Austin. Many of you are coming to Austin for conferences. You're coming to Austin for conferences like South by Southwest or other things that are happening soon. So we'll have a series. I think we're getting final confirmation on February 22nd, February 2nd and February 16th. And we'll also have a overview of the North American supply chain with Venture Connection, part of a series that for those of y'all that are touching more onto the supply chain issues, that'll happen on the 9th. But on the 2nd, we'll talk a little bit more about how you can leverage Austin and invite a number of different people into that conversation, as well as announcing a product that we're using to target support around that. And as well, we're going to have an overview about how to read financial statements with the long-term technology finance guy that I've worked with for more than a decade. His name is Eric Weiland. He has a group of around 70 different bookkeepers and accountants that he works with. One of the great things about that is you'll be able to find a little bit more about how is it that for those of us that grew up in the ranks of the engineers, like myself as an example, how do you read a financial statement? Some of those basic kind of concepts can be really important, because especially as you start looking for funding and things like that. So I'll look forward to hosting Eric and learning more from him about that, and want to invite you all along as well. I forgot to open up my feed, and I know that some of you might already be messaging us on the live session. So let me go ahead and bring that up and all extra stuff. I see Melvin is out there in the watching the stream. So shout out to Melvin. But part of what I'd like to do is if you're watching one of the streams, please you know that I know, even though there's a little bit of delay, I'll look for your questions so that we can actually have them as part of the session that we're doing today. Because today is all about just an Ask Me Anything community session. These are sometimes actually most of the time, my favorite programs we do, because there's nothing planned. Absolutely nothing planned, which is good and bad. It's good because, it's a lot of fun to kind of discover things that are being talked about, thought about otherwise. Bad because, many of you are saying, hey, I don't know what to expect. So I didn't come. Totally understand that as well. Part of what we want to do is continue to create value in that a lot of times I'll get a lot of individuals, like I have at least 40, I would estimate around 40 emails right now where people are asking me single point questions that actually would be valuable for in my mailbox. It's a mess. And so part of what we're going to start doing is funneling those questions into more time together and stuff like that. Part of what I'll do is when I switch to the black screen, that means I'm going to stop sharing and just talk a little bit more about this sort of stuff, about the type of things that we'd like to create interactions around. All right, so today, one of the things we'll do, and since we have a handful of our entrepreneurs in the studio audience, there's one gentleman I met that is from Poland, from Warsaw, that he's going to do a quick pitch. We'll kick it off with him doing a quick pitch, and he's like, hey, I've never pitched my business before and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, and it's like he was very, very really informed, took action during the conversation, asked me one of the most interesting questions during my speech this last week. I'm like, I want you to come on and interact with us. So everyone be gentle. This is not, we don't get really pushy until you're actually in one of our programs, and then we can get really pushy. But Victor, I know you're here today. We got to talk right beforehand. Welcome. First off, tell us before we get into your pitch and stuff like that. Tell us what's the program that you're in? At the Kosminski University. What is this a part of? How you and I just met.
Hello, everybody. About this program, told me my friend who also has the medtech, and like these are half-year studies. We met every second weekend on Saturday and Sundays, and we've got classes about rising funds, about healthcare system, like everything what can be helpful during when you are as a startupper in the medtech system.
Now tell us a little bit about your background too. You're one of the things, just for everyone else to hear, Victor is like one of the scientists and technologists and engineers that are around this university. The university has like a really heavy historical depth of science and attracts those type of people. What's your background?
I supposed to be a dentist, but I on the second year I realized that it's not a job for me, because I can't spend so many hours in one place. So I'm like the volcano of energy, and I'm everywhere. And since 15 years, I'm working for the medicine companies. And since 3 years, I opened my own, based on all my knowledge and with the people which I met during last 10 years. So one day I've got some kind of idea, and I checked this idea with few people, and the 3 days after we decide to start doing R&D on this idea, and finally we are at this place when we are. And about this, I want to tell you something more.
Yeah, please go ahead and tell us the pitch of your business. What does your business do?
We are a group of startups right now, because already I've got 3 medtech startups, and in each of them we are focused on the child. In the first one, we are focused on the fetus. In the second, just on the just born child, and the third one is also connected with well-being during the pregnancy of the fetus. So we focus all the energy, all the knowledge, and all the PhDs and professors around me are from this area. And at the moment, we are a group like 20 PhDs and professors from the best Polish and world universities like Stanford or from Krakow and Warsaw, from Gdańsk. And so I'm really glad that together we work on such I think that big world problems. We want to. I feel that we are changing the world for sure in Poland.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So what would be an example? Did you? I can't remember, and I'm sorry that I didn't ask you. Did you have some slides you wanted to go through really quick?
Yes. I've got 4 slides as I promised.
Yeah, please.
So I have something.
Go right ahead. Like, hop on in.
Okay, you see slides or not yet?
Yeah, we see them.
Okay, so as I told you, I'm co-founder of LPTW. So this is the Polish medtech startup established 2 years ago, and the team includes PhDs and professors from the best universities, and together we create an ecosystem of AI-based services, telemedicine solutions, and cloud computing applications. And we are focused on congenital heart diseases. Why? Because CHD is the second most common cause of infant mortality. And at least 8 out of every 1,000 infants born in the US each year have a heart defect. So it's the fundamental issue in the context of CHD treatment is to identify them as early as possible, before the child develops acute heart failure after birth. So, and standard examination is performed during the second trimester by physicians who are not expert in CHD, and it's made using the ultrasound device. And as the result, detection rates are very low, and the world average of it is near 30%. Our algorithm, which we made ultra pregna scan, has an accuracy of 83% right now, and it's analyzing the video, not the single shots, but all the video. And this year we want to finish it at a level of 90, maybe more % of accuracy. And what does it mean? That's mean that the non-expert option will correctly diagnose only 30 out of 100 pathologies. And our application will diagnose 83 out of 100. So it's big difference, and we are changing we're giving the chance to doctors to help more children, and children to have normal, and their families to have normal and healthy life, because you can react earlier, you can be prepared for it, and you can do the surgery as quick as it's possible, just after the birth. So this tool will help with diagnose and complete the work of the doctor, not replacing the doctor. So we want to go together with doctors, and what's more, we work in the browser, so we don't have to be installed on the devices or on the computer. So you can use us very quickly. The doctor just have to make a video of heart, and then drag and drop to the browser, and during 1 minute our system will tell that if it's that will tell the probably diagnosed. So
that's amazing.
That
is absolutely amazing. Well, thank you for. Go ahead.
Oh, so I hope that being a part of RanchTech, I can meet other medtech crazy people who has their own experience, and we can share our experience, maybe some science knowledge and things like that, and to make better solutions for future.
That's excellent. Well, I want to applaud your work because infant mortality is too high as it stands, especially in Texas. There's the fact that you're able to do those type of interactions and to be able to do them without having to install software, to be able to do it through the browser, that's pretty amazing because it lowers the barrier. So is the technology right now being used in production?
No, but it's ready to use. But because we are now the system, the healthcare system, like the law about the devices and software has changed in 2021 in Europe. So we become a class of 2B. So it means that we have to do a lot of documents, and we need still like 1.5 years of clinical treatment or something like that. So
yeah, just reviewing the technology.
Like 2 years to validate. We need 2 years to start selling it. But of course we are checking it, but it's like informal.
Yeah, understood. I know that so we have a small studio audience, but there's at least one gentleman that's in the audience that I know does a lot of work around mom and infant mortality and things like that. Kim Johnson, I'd like to make sure that you have space, that if you'd like to ask a question or two, that you can. Joe, go ahead and put Kim on the screen as well, and we'd love to have the three of us interact.
Don't do that.
Well, good morning, Kim. How are you?
As people tell me, I have a good face for radio. Victor, this is great. And as I understand it, my clarifying question is, so you're using AI applied to the image to create a better prediction based on the ultrasound? Is that my understanding?
Yes. Based on the 2D ultrasound clips, so we can analyze almost every the clips, videos from almost all the devices. Not on, because now you have also the 3D and 4D devices. They are very expensive, and especially in Poland they are not so popular. But those devices can also take a clip into 2D. So, and we analyze 2D clips, so we can. That's why I'm telling that we can analyze almost every clips from all the devices.
Okay, so there's a couple things. That's a very exciting application of AI to a medical condition. Our products start after, basically with the mom after delivery. And so they're targeted towards women that have suffered from addiction and their infants. It's a special category. I don't know how big a problem that is in your market, but it's called neonatal abstinence syndrome in the US, NAS. So basically, if there has been substance use, the infant is at risk for different development activities, and there's a process to there's a method of care that takes care of the infant as their infant and mom after delivery. And so we're hopefully moving towards expanding that product to address maternal mortality on the after delivery. So as far as congenital heart defects, there's two. I don't know that space particularly, but clearly it's obviously a problem, a big problem that you've chosen to address. And then what was I going to say? The second thing is we face a similar issue with our products. There's a category of FDA approval for mobile technology products. It sounds like a similar parallel path to the European Union in terms of what you have to supply to get a medical device approved. So we're evaluating that for our products on the US side in terms of, we actually have another pending product that's going to change our focus a little bit, but we're evaluating whether the requirements to make it what's called a digital therapeutic, where it can be prescribed after prescribed by a doctor and be a CPT code. So the short story is there's some overlap on the breadth of it. It's using images for AI is exciting, and I commend you on doing that, because that's a really important thing, especially on a 2D image. And then I'd be glad to exchange offline, as it'll be about another 2 months before we make a decision on the path. Well, I'll be spending about 2 months to investigate the FDA qualification resources, and I'd love to compare what the European Union requirements are, because there could be some. We have not explored the European Union because we've been funded by US NIH funding, which requires domestic resources to do it. So we haven't been focused on Europe, but that's an exciting application. I know other people here that are trying to apply AI to videos, for different things, and it's exciting that you've applied it to a 2D model. So lots of encouragement. I don't know the congenital heart defect space, but clearly in the overall world, there's a gap between pregnancy care, delivery, and then after delivery, you really have two patients that are treated in different paths. Exactly. I call them the dyad. And so anything we can do to look as far as to explain is, once you've identified it, help work with you in terms of what that means for care of the dyad after diagnosis. That would be something we'd be willing to talk about as well.
Well, it's interesting. There's several different things that are happening while we've been sitting here. I've got a couple other people that are responding back in. One of them that's a former ER nurse, Julie Renneker. Another one that works with OBGYN docs daily. And then Ravi. So Victor, you're getting a fan club. Whether or not you can see it, I can share it on the screen to kind of give an example. And just to step back for a second, by the way, everyone, this is what we're here to do, right? Just like these, handful of connections that just connect new research, like really compelling research coming out of Poland around infant mortality, and actually be doing that. It's funny. Julie just said, sorry to be missing VO. I had a recurring conflict, and she's trying to get some deliverables out the door, but we'll be connecting her in. Ravi in the chat says, I'm a former healthcare consultant and regular who's done work with healthcare tech transfer. Do you mind reaching out to me with your deck and research materials? I'd love to see where I can help get you a foothold in America. Child mortality rates in this country are tragic. Kevin has my email, so we can connect you with Ravi. Although since you guys are both on chat, it'd be great for y'all to hand that off, because everyone knows that messages go into my email box to die at times. So it's good to just get connected directly. Cut me out of the middle. Keep me in the loop about what's happening. Just don't use a hub and spoke through me. Victor, do you have any requests that you'd like to make? So some organization is going to happen around you anyway, and this will be our a good example. By the way, everyone, part of what Tech Ranch is doing, or what I want to do, is show to the Polish government about the possibilities about bringing us together. Katarina Kolosa just said, wow, she's the professor that lives between Poland and Switzerland, who brought me in to speak. So any questions, Victor, for you, like that you'd like to just throw out there to the group, or request or anything like that, like while we have you on the screen?
Sure, sure. As I told, I would like to meet other medtech people, like entrepreneurs from US or someone who is a part of the community to share the knowledge and went through this specific market. And also, it would be great if here is some option who, with open-minded option who can cooperate with us, and in case of heart disease, which is rare, he can make a video for us. Then we can learn. Then we can be better in our work.
Is
Because
it
we need the
possible that
data.
is it possible that there are other like if our associates in Mexico wanted to use the service at this point, even knowing that it's not fully completed, is that something that that they'd be able to do?
Yes, it's possible, but we have to finish our cybersecurity system
Of course.
to be sure that no one will steal our algorithm. So now we turn it on only during the business presentations.
Understood. Well, part of what we'll do is we'll do a shout out to there as well. I'm going to ask Jello to make sure that in the Tech Ranch community, there's a healthcare channel. There will be two places that I'd like to make sure that you post as your follow-up to this conversation. One of them will be this video is going to be in the Venture Outfitter channel. The other one is there's going to be in the healthcare channel. I'd like you to actually say, hey, I'm Victor, and this is what I just did. And Jello can actually help you set all that sort of stuff up, but it's just, I want to make sure that you're posted there. There are several other entrepreneurs that like one of them that runs a healthcare company, virtual hospital based out of Mexico that's tied into 52 different hospitals across Mexico. I think that he'll be interested in that. A lot of times we talk about US market entry, but the truth is that for saving lives, it might actually be, one of these other countries first. So I appreciate you taking. I know that when I said the other day that I'm like, hey, I want you to come on to this program and all that sort of stuff. That was a little bit. You initially were like, oh crap, but I appreciate what you're doing. What you're doing is honorable and important, and so I'm glad that you joined us today. Stick around and we'll hear from a handful of other entrepreneurs while we're here. And you're always welcome to come to these every week. But make sure that you do follow up no matter what on the community site. That way people will, instead of coming to me and saying, who was that Polish guy? And can you introduce me? I'll be like, go to the community site. Y'all connect in. That way it keeps the amount of time that I'm spending. I'll get to do more of the high level connections and stuff like that. And then y'all can sync up in the community software. So thanks, Victor.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. Okay, well, so back to other things. I know that we have a handful of different people in the studio today that are there. It's great to actually see all the different things. I have a lot of messages coming at me in WhatsApp right now, which is crazy that WhatsApp is getting more comments about this program than LinkedIn. By the way, for those of y'all that are watching the streams, it's always easier if you actually do your comments in the public on the streams versus here. But that's fine. I'm not going to complain because I like the interaction. Same thing about Facebook. I'm getting people, instead of like just posting onto Facebook, they're posting into there, but that's fine too. I like the interaction. But part of the thing that I'll just ask is the follow up on this sort of stuff. Let's make sure the follow up, let's do it on the community site. And that website is community.techranch.com. If you haven't been involved in the Tech Ranch community in the past, or if you have been involved in the past, but you're not on the community site now, Jello in the next week is going to be sending out about, I think we had 400 people that we hadn't moved over from the Slack channels. And it's just, we wanted to get the software right and in place and learn a little bit about it before we just threw people at it. Those introductions will go out this next week. the other side of it too is if you have questions or if there's an area that should be set up for being what we call a group forming network. That is, this is not just about TechRanch. It's for you to find the birds of a feather that you need to connect into to build your business back and forth. If there's another area that you think needs to be put there, please let us know. I want to hear from a couple of different people. A while ago, I saw Denise was on. I'd love to get an update from her about, Denise, you mind joining us? Perfect. Well, Jello put you on the spot anyway, so that's good.
Yeah. So Victor is what he's doing is fascinating. And the thing that sparked me was the ability for what he's doing to do it through a 2D photo or video. One of the ways that is really powerful to diagnose mental illness in children and their trauma level is through their drawings. And if you can look at the developmental level of their figures. If you ask them to draw a family or draw themselves, and they draw stick figures versus with just a floating head, and they use only black, that's a big red flag. So I'm looking at that, being able to take that AI and have it be able to help diagnose that right away. That's something we can teach teachers and counselors and parents and everybody to do. And it would be that it's the same idea as what they're doing with the developmental stuff for the heart. So that's what popped up with me.
That's interesting. Well, so for those, for everyone out there that doesn't know what you're up to, give your quick elevator pitch and any request that you have for moving that forward.
Okay.
I mean, by the way, the theme that I'll tell the theme that I was that had me think about having Denise speak for next. It's all about kids. It's all about kids, right? Victor in the prenatal and after birth stage. Denise works with children. Her technology is great about supporting kids that are in school that are having difficulties. Tell us a little bit more about it, Denise. Do a proper introduction versus my hand waving. Okay,
well, it has morphed lots of different ways. I'm currently calling it Fortified, FORT in capital letters, -IFIED, with the idea of people building mental health, wellness, and safety imaginary forts, so that you use all of those kinds of things and find how to keep yourself safe in those areas, spiritually, physically, emotionally, intellectually. Did I say spiritually? Socially, socially, and environmentally. And in each of those areas, we have to be able to make the choices ourselves. And you teach through a game-like format. You teach parents and mentors and grandparents and kids how to do that through regular developmental experiences, and digital and real. So you have to start with the real, and then you move into the digital, and make sure that you help, especially young ones below 10 years old. They have a hard time differentiating between reality and fantasy. So putting them on an iPad when they're 2 to read a book is a very, very different experience than it is to sit them in your lap and have the hardcover book and turn the pages and have them have the human touch, because computers can't give you a hug, and the hug has to come first. There's no substitute for that. You cannot do it without that. Sometimes you could do it simultaneously, maybe like with the telemedicine, if you've got somebody on the other side to do that, but you have to have the human interaction. If we are teaching children without that human touch, they do not develop the social emotional stuff. They can't. That's been part of the issue with the COVID stuff, because we blocked their opportunities to learn socially, emotionally, environmentally. thinking we were keeping them safe. And in fact, we endangered them more.
That's quite interesting, quite profound. I know that I had my own personal struggles after not having my Aikido martial arts class, just throwing people around and having a relationship end in the middle of that sort of stuff, and kind of being like that crisis was the worst part about it. What can be done, or how actually, two questions, and you can answer either one of them. What can be done, or how can we as a community support what you're up to?
What I'd like to see happen is that Tech Ranch becomes maybe a purveyor of, say, like, I want to say staff development because I'm a principal, but to teach, like, I want the Tech Ranch people to experience the things that we need kids to experience and parents to experience and whatever. You can't come back from some place you've never been. So if we have a way for the people that are on Tech Ranch to experience the same process, because that's what it is a process. It's not difficult, but it's intense, and you have to do it. Otherwise, you know, it's like when you have a baby, you have a child. When that happens, your life changes, and you learn a whole ton of stuff by just holding that baby and having it, you know, poop on you and throw up on you and do all that kind of stuff. It's like, oh, but you can watch it on a video and it has not near the impact, nor the smell, nor the, you know, it just is, but that's life. And having that baby cry and cry and cry, and you've done everything you can and it won't stop, that matters. So that's kind of a graphic example of experiences, but we have to have some real ones. And if we could somehow, I don't know, I have some ideas, but I'll talk to you about that later. We need to have everybody that we are connecting with have that experience, because that's part of the seat of the creativity and the spark. Because then they look at their passion and they're like, oh, well, my stuff could do this. Well, my stuff could do that. But then they have to be able to teach that to the people that are going to get the product or whatever. So, and it once again, it has to be in teacher language. It goes from the pictorial to the abstract. So video is pictorial. It's not concrete. And then the abstract is when, oh, then I can take this picture of the heartbeat in the sonogram. I can take that picture and I can figure out whether that child, that baby, is going to have a heart defect or not. And that this is what we would need to do. That's exactly the process: concrete, pictorial, abstract. And I would love to see our Tech Ranch community have that series of learning experiences as part of their repertoire.
That's interesting. Well, I'd love to actually see that. I love the idea, especially around something that helps people, in this case, children, although I think that it'll probably have impact on adults as well, become more resilient and actually have that be part of our community of practice. For those of you all that don't know the backgrounds on the whole idea of the community of practice, or perhaps you're listening to this as a podcast at some later point, which by the way, I think we've forgotten to let everyone know that this is now a podcast.
It is.
Yeah, we actually are streaming, and then Paloma on our marketing team is it transitions into podcast now that you can get off of Apple Podcast. The main thing about it is this notion of community of practice comes from my experience in the martial arts. I don't have advanced degrees in college, just an undergraduate engineering degree, but my advanced degrees are in the martial art of Aikido. And part of the thing about how you become more resilient in Aikido is you just practice. You have a group of people to practice with over and over and over. And that's part of what we're here to do together. So Denise, that makes a lot of sense to me. But definitely let me know, or let us know what's there. I know there's also some grant activities. Is there anything that you want to report or make requests to the community about that?
I guess this is the request I'm gonna make. I want everybody to be thinking about what they need for their own particular business. And I think we need to go after grants or funding or whatever based upon what their needs are and what they want. They're the entrepreneurs. They know what they need, rather than, it's not rather than, in addition to, or maybe this first, funders. Because funders there's a lot of funding out there available, especially in the education part. There's funding in mental health and in safety. All of it's mixed together, but you have to go through certain channels to get it, and it has to be linked to a school district. So, and then that can get blocked very easily. So we need to find, it's like when you build a website, you have to build your own website to do what you need it to do, not see if you can find a platform that's going to fit what you need, because you're the entrepreneur. Nobody else knows that yet. Like nobody knows Victor's app exists yet.
Yeah.
And yet that's hugely, and so he would need to build his stuff based upon what he already knows, but he's the entrepreneur, he's first. So it's sort of like Columbus trying to figure out about the world, and that it's round, not flat. That, I mean, all that stuff. I probably even
I know. That's, I mean, you all are the people that are at the cutting edge, and a lot of
Right.
times, a lot of these funders, they have well-meaning people, but they can't imagine the future that you see because they're not at the front. I do hope. I mean, part of my advocation on some of the stuff that I'm working on is very much aligned with that type of thing. So it's it's like, how do we actually, when I go, fly to talk to a government or something like that, part of what the story that I'm wanting to tell is, if you really want to shift this conversation, right, very quickly and solve these world problems, you have to actually let the conversation be innovation-led, not investor-led, but innovation-led, right? Innovation-led will actually get there faster. So,
well, yeah, because otherwise they can't see it. They have to be able to see it. You got to be able to see it, hear it, feel it, all of that stuff. It's like going to kindergarten.
Yeah, well, this is also one of the reasons that I like to go. I meet some Polish guy on the other side of the world that's got a really cool piece of science, and I'm like, hey, come present to us, right? And he says, "Whoa!"
Exactly.
But it's like, this is actually the way we the way things happen. It's interesting. Just to give Victor some feedback, that I took some screenshots, and I already have. I have requests back, and I'm just going to externalize this because I want people to see how this happens. The request that I'm getting is, can you get this data? I have an OBGYN in a very large and influential practice whose fetus was diagnosed with hypoplastic left heart syndrome and had in utero fetal surgery to repair it successfully. This was about 10 years ago, and the data was approximately was fixed 50 detection rate. So just so I know how the sausage gets made, but a lot of times people can't imagine that. And so part of what one of the reasons I like the Ask Me Anything type of sessions like this is because I'm like, oh, okay, let me show you guys the world I see about, and it's random connections. Now that happens to be happening. I wish it was happening in LinkedIn so you could see this a little bit more visibly. But the great thing about that is, I mean, it's happening in WhatsApp. That's fine. I like shifting my attention like that back and forth. It's like it's one of the authors I like reading is, if you can't fix something, you should feature it. Well, this is me featuring my my random way of seeing how to connect the world. But this is perfect.
So I'm going to say,
go ahead, Denise.
So when I ask for people to figure out what they need, then comment on the community practice in the communities section. Is that where we want them to comment?
Yeah, I think that's the most important, because right now, quite literally, I did an informal survey of my mailbox yesterday, and I have 40 or so requests in my mailbox from people just asking to be connected to other people. And the difficulty with that is, right now, I honestly haven't been servicing the governments and corporations that would hand us money that, and so I'm having to say, as much of this other stuff that's going to my mailbox about, hey, will you connect me to, let's just move that to the community. And that way we can scale, right? Right now, we haven't been able to scale in the way that we could. I scale the amount of connections and stuff like that in the way we could by having you guys connecting in with each other directly. Now, since I'm a super connector around the world, yeah, I'm going to continue to do that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm connecting an Argentinian guy with someone in Uzbekistan for a project that actually is there, that's happening there. Another Washington State person with another gentleman in Uzbekistan. I have a high net worth Mexican investor that I just connected to a different Argentinian. It's like we're connecting now, a Pole from Poland to this large OBGYN, which doctors for birth, by the way, for those of y'all that don't know what the what that means, how to connect that in, and it's just happening, this random thing. Let's see. Before we switch away, I know that it's almost 12, and I want to have one other person come on. I mentioned in chat a while ago, Ravi, why don't you come on and talk about your project real quick too, because I think this theme is really good. Hop on in and share with us, what are you working on?
Thanks, Kevin. Hi, everyone. First off, I'd just like to apologize for my appearance. Didn't realize I'd be on camera today, so shirt and hair, not a great day for me. Out of respect for time, I'll keep this pretty brief. I see we've got 6 minutes left. Lastly, I know all the legal people in the world would be remiss if I didn't mention everything I'm about to say is not an offer to buy or sell securities, just FYI. My background, I started my career in consulting, as I mentioned earlier in the chat to Victor, healthcare consulting, and then I ended up as a regulator for a while. So my background is primarily healthcare, and to that extent, housing, as housing is ultimately derivative of healthcare and health outcomes. I since left my job at Health and Human Services earlier this year to launch a new nonprofit called Fair Deal Texas that works on increasing access to healthcare and affordable housing access for residents of the Lone Star State. And one of the most exciting things I'm working on lately is a real estate investment trust that will work on purchasing affordable housing to lease out to working class families, including those who receive Section 8 benefits. Kind of how this came about is, my background is primarily finance, and in the stock and bond world, fixed income and equities, we have this concept called ESG, environmental, social, and governance investing, that's been very popular in the last 10, 15 years or so. That idea to kind of do goodery via capitalism hasn't translated particularly well to real estate so far. And kind of where I was sitting in between these two worlds of, healthcare, housing, and like finance and, do-goodery investing, for lack of a better term, kind of doing an affordable housing REIT is a great way to kind of merge those two worlds and kind of get a massive problem tackled in kind of a new way that no one's tried to approach yet. So basically, this is a for-profit venture, recognized as a B Corp. So we recognize there are stakeholders who are not shareholders. And it's tied to my nonprofit, which does public policy work. We have a lot of other great programs I won't touch on here out of respect for time. But basically, this REIT will, go out, seek investors. We're working on the private placement memorandum and our, 506C offering right now, registration right now. Basically, the goal is we'll go out, we'll buy safe, affordable homes in, working class neighborhoods, and we will rent those out, at market, as close as we can at least. Make sure they're all available for Section 8 vouchers, etc. And basically, allowing people who otherwise, wouldn't have access to housing or be displaced or, some sort of other derivative issue because of the affordable housing crisis to have a safe and affordable home. The benefits to everyone are kind of large. You have the people who would otherwise not have somewhere to live in that neighborhood, have a place to live in that neighborhood. For investors, this, allows them to achieve some sort of, higher altruistic mission through investing, as opposed to just writing a check to a community land trust or something, and that being a strict donation. It also allows opening up to, giant pension funds like CalPERS and other money managers to fulfill their ESG mandates. For individual investors, you have, the Section 8 waiting list is years long. There's going to be effectively no vacancies in a lot of these, knock on wood. Again, this is not an offer to sell securities. None of this has been confirmed, blah, blah, blah. And then, it's pretty secure cash flows, right? So ultimately, we achieve a lot of successes through this model that otherwise no one approach to this issue, which is a, gigantic issue and a huge crisis, has yet to do. So basically, that's the overview pitch. Does anyone have any questions I can answer?
It's beautiful. One of the things that's been great to do is, so Ravi actually offices here at Works, and it's great to see things evolve so fast around this set of issues. Were there questions for him that from the studio audience? I know that we're probably going to get some on the LinkedIn in the other channels as well. So we'll follow up afterwards, just by looking at those links and stuff like that. But other questions?
Yeah, I just put a shout out here. I posted on the Circle platform as well. Anyone who would like to get involved either on the public policy nonprofit side or the REIT side, we could obviously use accountants and lawyers, and obviously we can't take money legally yet, but down the road, if you're accredited, we'd like to see if we can work with you on that. Disclaimer, all that good stuff. So if anyone wants to get involved, I'm on the Circle platform, or otherwise, if you're not, obviously Kevin has my phone and email and all that, and I'd love to hear from anybody who either has ideas or wants to get involved, or just have a conversation.
Yeah, and if at all possible, just from the standpoint of managing the process, check out, it's when he says Circle platform, he does mean the website. That's community.techranch.com. So thanks, Ravi. Appreciate you hopping in there and all that sort of stuff. Let's do this. What we're going to go ahead and do is we'll go ahead and take, since it's right at noon, and I know a bunch of you all have meetings that you have to hop into, we'll go ahead and wrap back up and stuff like that. I want to make sure I say thank you to Victor, thank you to Ravi, thank you Denise, thank you to Kim for sharing today. You guys can stick around a little bit afterwards after we stop the broadcast, but let me just do the last little bit and say, for anyone that's out there that would like to get involved, find out a little bit more about the Tech Ranch. If you have an impact technology, if you're a scientist, if you're an engineer or an entrepreneur that is committed to actually making the world a better place, if you're in another country and you hear about this work that we're talking about today and you want to get involved, there's a place to sign up at techranch.com/connect as either a country manager or a mentor or a bunch. There's a clearinghouse of different places to plug into. If you want to get your venture on our radar, there's a link to our contact us form to do so. And so you can just go to techranch.com/connect to do so. We'll start announcing a little bit more about what's happening. Make sure you're on the newsletter as well, because a lot of the activities, we have so much stuff happening around Tech Ranch that a lot of times being able to post it out quickly on other channels is hard to do. So we're doing it where we are getting we've gotten back to our regular newsletter process. So sign up there as well. And just wrapping up before all of y'all run to your next set of meetings, it's always my honor to be a part of a community of entrepreneurs that are driven by vision and values. Let's go change the world for the better together. Let us know if you need anything. And other than that, we'll sign off for today and keep on changing the world for the better, y'all. It's an honor to be a part of your work and as you're building these things out. Thank you again. Okay.